All right. So as promised, let's continue with the TCP flow control and connection establishment. The reason for today's session is TCP supports the flow control and congestion control, and we also have to establish the connection between the sender and the receiver. So these are the reasons why we learn TCP flow control and connection establishment. To start with, where are we exactly having this flow controls requirement? Look at the picture on the screen. You have got your network layer here that is denoted by IP code. You also have the transport protocol here. You have got the application layer processes and application layer protocol running here. And there is a socket, we call it as TCP socket, which receives the data from the application process if it is the sender side. If it is the receiver side, this is going to get the data from the internet protocol, that is from the network layer. It receives actually the data. Once the data is received from the network layer to the transport layer, the data, or the we call it as datagram, have to be opened and found to which application or to which socket this specific message or the packet has to be forwarded, right? So this application layer may have more than one application running, maybe HTTP, file transfer protocol, telnet, any of these applications may be running here in the application process. Now using this socket, transport layer has to send the data exactly to the application layer process. Now, this specific application layer process might be busy at times, which means it may be carrying out some other work, some other job might be executed in that time. The transport layer will not be able to push the data as it is. Okay. Hence, once the data is received from the network layer, it is very essential that the transport layer has to store the data somewhere in specific. Transmission control protocol has to store this packet somewhere. We call this as buffer. Okay, we call this, in this example it is given as TCP socket receiver buffer. So whatever is received from the network layer have to be stored many of the times before they are actually forwarded to the application layer. I also have mentioned the reason behind that. Now, what about this buffer? Is it finite? It is finite, but some of the implementations nowadays goes for dynamic allocation. Do you require little more space? Okay, you can make it little more bigger. It is very similar to the waiting room, or in other words, you can think this as a queue. Once the application layer is ready to receive this information, it will take it up. Now the buffer is cleared. All right. Hence, you should understand that this receiver buffer should not be overwhelmed or overflown, which means if it can accommodate 1500 bytes and all the 1500 bytes have been received by the transport layer from the network layer and they are yet to be transmitted to the application layer, they are waiting. All right, they are just sitting in the TCP's buffer. In that case, if the sender's TCP still pushes few more packets, now there is no room. The transmission control protocol at the receiver is helpless, that it cannot store it anywhere. This is what we call it as overwhelming the buffer. There is no space. Now, what is supposed to be done? This receiver TCP has to indicate the sender TCP, please wait. No, the packet have not been given to the application layer. I don't have space. Please stop it, or please reduce the speed. We call it as throttling. Very similar to giving the accelerator in the car. If you need to go fast, push it. If you need to go slow, probably you remove your leg from the accelerator pedal. Same logic, flow control works. Hope you understand the fundamentals. Why should you go for the TCP's flow control, right? Moving on. Right. Now you have got the network layer delivering the IP datagram to the socket buffer, which I have said, and the application layer is removing, which means it accepts the packet from the TCP's socket buffer. Now this is the question which is posted on the left hand side. What happens if network layer delivers the data faster than the application layer removing the data from the socket buffer? I have just explained to you this question. Okay. And how can we do that? We have got a field called receive window in the TCP header. Hope you all have memorized or taken a blueprint of TCP header in your mind, which contains source port number, destination port numbers, acknowledge number, sequence number, some flag bits, receive window. Hope you remember checksum, header length, XYZ, and urgent pointer. Yes, you hope you remember those fields. Now this flow control accepts the, okay, it indicates the sender how much space it is having. Sir, don't send anything more than 500 bytes because I don't have room beyond that. Okay, so this is how the receiver will indicate the sender side. All right, so in flow control the receiver controls the sender. In other words, the receiver tells the sender, sir, please don't disturb me too much, this is my capability. All right, so I have given the points on the left hand side. It controls the sender, so sender will not overflow receiver's buffer by transmitting too much and too fast. All right, this is the requirement, or this is what the reason behind something called flow control. Now we need to know how does it work. Okay, so that is the agenda. So how it exactly happens, I have given some points on the screen. I read and explain to you. First point, TCP receiver advertises. Okay, advertises probably could be a colloquial word, but the TCP receiver indicates the sender. All right, that how much space it has got, free buffer space, using the receive window field. I said yesterday, receive window sometimes will be given as RWND, some people will say RCV window, but they all denote the same field called receive window, which is of 16 bits in size at the TCP header, right? So receive window field is the TCP header, and there is something called receive buffer. Okay, so if you look at the right hand side graphics, you got the receive buffer. So receive buffer is the whole space where your network layer data can reside till the application layer comes and picks up the information, right? So that's the whole size is the receive buffer, right? And at this example on this graph which is shown, you have got close to 40 or 35 to 40 percentage is already filled, and remaining 60 65 percentage roughly are given as free space. Look at this RWNT. This is what this RWNT. Okay, so receive window is the amount of space which is available at the receiver TCP, so that the sender can send only that much data maximum, right? So that is what receive. You can understand whole space, some are occupied, how much is free, that is called free buffer space. Okay, and typically default size is 1000, I'm sorry, 4096 bytes, roughly 4 kilobyte. Yeah, so 4 kilobyte of information. You may be thinking, sir, it is too low when we are transferring megabyte and gigabytes of data. Yes, it's true, but whatever is received at the network layer, which is processed by the transport layer, they are taken immediately by the application layer in majority of the cases. But when you talk about flow control, it happens at the rare occasion where your receiver is really too much that it is not able to accept it. So at that time only this is going to be very, very crucial, right? And look at the second point, many operating system auto adjusts. Okay, so which means, okay, it can go for little elasticity. Okay, I probably shrink and probably expand so that the space can be created. You need not throttle the sender all the time, and your quality of service and the bandwidth utilization also can be higher once you increase the space as and when required, right? The sender limits the amount of unacknowledged data to receive at the to be received at RWNT. Please remember, I have spoken about unacknowledged yesterday. Recall the word I have used, sliding window protocol. Some packets, I think it was on green color, if I remember correctly, they were already sent and acknowledged. Few are maybe might be in yellow color, I'm sorry if I'm wrong, yellow color, which are sent but they are still to be acknowledged, and you also have got space, right? So whatever is not acknowledged, the sender normally again has its own idea, okay, that much space might be available at the receiver. That is again a better implementation of TCP, and that also guarantees that receiver buffer will not overflow. So it is not going to send anything beyond RWNT, that the receiver buffer will not be overflown, because if it is overflowing, Now again, it's the burden of the TCP sender to retransmit, because it's going to drop the space if there is no drop the packet when there is no space. All right. So now it has to ask for retransmission. So just to avoid that, sender is little careful that it is not going to overwhelm the receiver. So this is what our receive window field at the TCP header. All right. So now I have given you a little logic or interesting logic behind what is happening in the flow control. Right. So in a nutshell, receiver tells, sir, this is the only space I have. This much space only I have. Please don't send anything beyond that. And the sender is sending. Please remember, I haven't used the word client and server. I have used the word sender and the receiver, which means when I am sending a packet, I become sender. When I'm receiving a packet from the other side, I become the receiver. So I have to work with the receiver buffer, and the other side of the person also will work with the receive buffer, right? Because TCP is a full duplex connection, which is one of the important characteristics of TCP, which we saw yesterday, right? The next comes is TCP connection management, all right? So I have spoken multiple times that TCP is a connection-oriented protocol where the connection needs to be established between the client and the server, okay, between the sender and the receiver, all right? So before exchanging the data, the sender and the receiver has to say hi, hello, all right? Very similar to, suppose you go and talk to your higher official, okay? You go and say, sir, can I talk to you? Okay. Now the higher official would say, yes, yeah, let's proceed. Okay. This is a simple way of handshake. Now assume that in a professional way, in an ethical way, suppose you want to talk to someone. Okay. Sir, can I talk to you? He can say, yes, I am ready. Are you free to talk to me? Could you understand the second word? This is slightly different from what I have said. Okay. He's saying, okay, I am ready to talk. Are you free? Can we talk? Then you say yes. And then the actual communication starts. Very similar to your TCP three-way handshake protocol. Okay. So both the sender and the receiver, they agree on certain things, including the sequence number, a receive window. All right. There are few other parameters are involved, and the sender and the receiver must agree so that they'll be able to exchange the data. Moving on, this is an example of two-way handshake. Okay, you look at the left-hand side, you have got this sender. Okay, is asking, let's talk. Okay, now it is changed to a state called established. Okay, this is not TCP, a simple analogy. Okay, a general analogy, where the other person says okay. All right. Now, what would happen in this example? Why should we go for a three-way handshake protocol? Sir, two-way is sufficient because I want to talk to someone, maybe my authority or my subordinate. I go and talk. Can I take a minute of you? Then he says, okay, what is that? Yes, sir, actually, so this is our conversation. This is how our conversation starts. So why should I go for three-way handshake, sir? Two-way handshake protocol is sufficient, right? Yes, that is the trouble. Look at these left-hand side graphics. Both are same actually, but it talks about human and it talks about machines. Probably will take the second half. So initially you talk to the other side, sir, can I talk to you? And the other person says, okay. Now we talk about network. Okay, we are not talking about the communication between one to one. Assume that I am sitting in front of you or you are sitting in front of me. You may not require the three-way handshake protocol. You can just say, sir, I have a question to ask you. He'll say, hey, please ask me. Sir, what is your name? Something like that, right? Now, what is happening in the network? Because I am here. I am talking to every one of you, believing that my own students are listening to me, not their relatives, or you haven't put me in the mute. That's my belief, right? Now I am talking to you. I can talk to something to you because you are hidden to me. I do not know what exactly happened at your end, right? Without knowing that, once you say, okay, I am waiting for some time. All right, I'm asking you a question, waiting for a response, and you have responded on time, but there is a slight delay in the network that I did not receive it properly. Now, what will I think? Okay, I think he's busy because I asked him, he's not available. It happens even in our normal case because I'm calling one or two of you just to unmute yourself and speak. But sometimes you take more than 10 seconds or 15 seconds to unmute and speak. Then I assume that, okay, I think he's not there, or you might be elsewhere, right? So it makes me to assume like that. Now, the same story will happen in the network. Sender sends a request. that I want to connect with you. The receiver also has sent, yes, sir, you can speak to me, but there is a delay which I haven't received. I think, yes, he's too busy to accept my connection. So, but I'm in a desperate situation that I should send some file to you. So I send a request message again. Okay. By the time you got the response for the previous, which is of no use. Second problem, I am sending a message to you that I want to connect with you. All right. You also have responded. Once you have responded, by the meantime, there is a problem with my network. Problem could be with my machine that it got shut down, or there is a power failure that I'm not able to stay alive to receive your response. Now, what the receiver will think? What happened to this guy? He wanted to talk to me. I said, okay, but he is not responding. Where has the packet gone? It goes to somewhere where the receiver is not there. I am here. I'm supposed to receive the second message, but I'm supposed to receive the second message. But by the meantime, there is a problem here. I got shut down. So where has the OK message gone? All right. Now, after that, I should say OK. Then there is a confirmation. Yes, all right, the other person is also alive. Now the server can keep its connection open. Okay, otherwise it will close the connection because there is no response. All right, now you can debate with me, sir. In that case we should go for four-way communication, five-way communication, but that is very similar to something like I'm staying in Karunya Nagar, my friend is staying in Coimbatore city, for instance. One day we all both we both went to a shop, maybe at 11 o'clock we came out in the evening, in the night, and he feels, sir, hey, how will you go alone? I'll come and drop you. So he comes and drops me, and then I feel, how are you going to go alone? Then I will come and drop you. Then I go and drop and coming back. Now he feels I'm going alone. No. So this story should not continue. Okay, but there should be an end. But when the sender is always normally busy because it has to connect with multiple, it has to serve multiple clients many a times, right? More than one at all the times, we can say. Now it cannot wait for you to communicate. For you, not a big deal, but the server's time and its resources are very, very critical. That's the reason the third message is required from you. That okay. And many a times we have seen that the third message is piggybacked with the application layer protocol. Do you remember? I have shown the example of HTTP communication where the TCP packet, the third message was going along with that, the HTTP packet also will join. This is called piggybacking, so that you are reducing the round trip time in the network communication. All right. So this is what I have spoken. Whatever I have, we have got variable delays. We do not know how much time it's going to take to receive the message, and retransmitted message, because message loss. I have spoken about loss of message. Then message is reordering. I have made a request. I got the response for the previous request. Suddenly it goes. A lot of confusion. And the main problem is you cannot see each other. There is a very clear screen put up between you and me. So we are not able to see each other, but you can only talk. All right. I don't know whether you are sitting there. All right. So that is what the problem with two-way communication, and hence we need to go for three-way communication. So I skip it. This is just again another further details to explain to you whatever I have spoken to you about the problem with two-way communication. Okay, half connection open, client is not available. You are sending to someone where the client is not at all existing. Okay, duplicated information, right? This all I have spoken to you. That is the reason TCP goes for three-way communication. I'm sure you all are convinced that we should go for a three-way handshake protocol for connection establishment in TCP. At this time, remember UDP, no such issues. Cool. Okay, so doesn't bother about all this connection, all these complexities, right? When you talk about TCP, you all remember the server has to always listen. We have already defined that the server is a always on host. Hope you remember that statement. It should be always available. Very similar to the electricity socket or the power supply socket which I have got. It should always have the power supply. When the my laptop or any of the gadgets require the power supply, goes and connects with that. These are the clients, right? So similar to that, the server is just waiting. It is just listening to somebody whether somebody wants to connect. All right. So we are going to have a timing diagram or a sequence diagram here, where right hand side you got the server which is always listening. and you have got the client side on the left hand side, which is trying to connect. Okay, now the client sends the first request. It is for client request. Okay, please remember some points which are involved here. Now if you look at the TCP header, TCP header has got 6 bits. What are those? You got synchronization bit, mm, finish bit, RST reset, then acknowledgement, then push and URG, right? There are 6 flag bits available in the TCP header. Hope you all have studied about that, right? Now, I also said SYN and FIN are the 2 flags, are the bits which are responsible or which are involved in the connection establishment, if you remember that properly. Yes. Now, when the client is making a request to the server, no payload, no application layer data, only the TCP header of 20 bytes, where source port is there, destination port will be filled in, sequence number, acknowledgement number, they all are filled in. Very importantly, the SYN bit will be 1. Okay, it's a flag bit. It can be either 0 or 1. Please remember, TCP three-way handshake protocol has got the first message where synchronization bit is 1. Okay, and acknowledgement bit would be 0. It is reset because it is not the acknowledgement packet. Okay, and initially there will be a sequence number initiated by the client. There are multiple things which are involved in this. So if you are very much interested in knowing about the three-way handshake protocol, you have got humpty number of literatures. I invite everyone how this initial sequence number is established, so that to avoid certain kind of attack on TCP. Please remember, it's not a joke, it's not a game. All right, you have to choose the sequence number in such a way that, right, the initial sequence number which is set should not be known to the attacker. He should not be able to predict what will be the sequence number, right? So there are a lot of methods available. Please read them. Very interesting. All right. And the second one, if you have heard about your worked with any of the networking attacks, hope you are working with ethical hacking or probably such related courses, where you have heard about SYN flooding. All right, SYN flooding, or in synchronization flooding in TCP, which is vulnerable to SYN flooding. What is that SYN flooding? There is a pseudo client who is going to send humpty number of synchronization message, which is connection establishment message to the server. Look at the situation of the server. The server requests humpty number of synchronization requests from multiple sources. At a particular point of time, it fails. That leads to denial of service problem. All right. Again, I have only given you the abstract of the nutshell, but please read about synchronization flooding, very interesting phenomena, and how denial of service is established by SYN flooding. All happens, starts with TCP handshake protocol, the first message. Okay, very interesting. Moving on. So we have sent the first message. Now we assume that the server is free. Okay, or in other words, the server is ready to accept your connection. So what is it supposed to do? The server has to say okay, and it also has to say, I also would like to connect with you. Very similar to, sir, I have something to speak to you. The other person would say, yes, we can speak. I also have something to share with you. Something like that. Very something similar to that. Okay. The server, when server is accepting this kind of request, the server has to send a SYN message. Okay. So what happens in the second message? Synchronization bit has to be 1. Please remember, that is the acknowledgement message for your first message. All right. So the acknowledgement bit has to be 1. When the ACK bit in the flag is 1, which indicates it is the acknowledgement packet. It may have data, but it is an acknowledgement packet. It must have the acknowledgement number, right? So you can see the second one, synchronization bit is 1. It initiates its own sequence number. It may be same, it may be different, because this sequence number is chosen by you. There is no relation between two. So there could be collision, but no problem. This is the server sequence number, that is client sequence number. So absolutely no trouble. And remember, acknowledgement bit also has to be 1. And its acknowledgement will be the sequence number plus 1. This tells you the correlation between sequence number and acknowledgement number. You will have at least one question for your first internal from this kind of setup. not in three-way handshake protocol, but the relationship between sequence number and acknowledgement number, which I have spoken in the last class. Okay, so acknowledgement number will have the sequence number plus 1 because it's 1 byte of information. Okay, all right, so this is the second message, and we are speaking about the three-way handshake protocol. Can you guess what would be the third message? If you have guessed it correctly, the third message will be simply the acknowledgement saying yes sir, thank you. Similar, very similar to that. Okay, it sends the acknowledgement. Remember, the third message in the TCP three-way handshake protocol will not have synchronization as 1. Remember, if the SYN bit is 1, which indicates the connection request, all right, if the SYN bit is 0, it is not the connection request. So for all the other transmission of TCP, SYN will be 0. Okay, you can have a look at that. You can see, no, yes, they are not, it is not speaking about SYN at all. Okay, it's acknowledgement bit will be 1. Why should it be the acknowledgement? You are sending the acknowledgement for the second message. Okay, it is a zigzag, client to server, server to client, client to server. Always client initiates this TCP connection. Don't be confused. Very similar to who requires will make the request, right? Similar to that. Okay, you also have something called states of the TCP cycle, which we can do it like assignment or something. What are the different states client side TCP or a server side TCP normally undergoes? Not a critical one, but it is always good if you know that as well. Okay, now you look at this line. The received acknowledgement indicates that the client is live. Remember the requirement of the three-way handshake protocol, right? So now I have explained to you the three-way handshake protocol. This is for connection establishment. Anything which is started has to come to an end, right? So we also need to terminate the connection. When are you going to terminate the connection? Once you complete the data transmission, you open the browser, you check your mail, then you close the connection. Very similar to that, the connection has to be disconnected, or we call it as connection is closed. Okay, establishment, termination. Okay, what is that connection is? What is the meaning of connection termination? You want to disconnect the TCP communication. Okay, the one-to-one connection or point-to-point full duplex connection is to be cut. So that also is initiated by the client. I'll see whether I have got, yeah, I have got the graphics for that. All right, now the connection is established. Everything is communicated, shared, done. Okay, now it is done. Transmission is also over. Now what is to be done next? The connection has to be closed. For that, remember, the client initiates the connection. It sends a fin message. Fin stands for finish. Okay, which means everything is done. Thank you. I do not want to connect with you anymore. Simple logic. Okay, then the server accepts it. Okay, and you also have got something called close wait, last acknowledgement. Very interesting states. Please read your textbook, which speaks about the TCP server and client life cycle. Very interesting one. Okay, so the server receives the connection and it sends acknowledgement. Okay, I received. It's okay. Now there is a third message. Remember, the third message is also initiated by the server, not the client. Okay, and the server sends the finish, and the client has to say, okay, this is the acknowledgement. Okay, mutually they agree to disconnect. Very interesting one, right? So this is about TCP connection termination. How can you remember this? Because the third message is important. I still remember my childhood in my schooling, probably in the first standard or second standard. Okay, you will have your own close friend. Sometimes you will be angry with him or her. Then you would say, "Don't talk to me anymore." Okay, then he or she would say, "Okay," and after some time, that person would tell you, "You don't talk to me also." Then you would say, "Okay." Remember that childish fight. Then you will not forget the TCP connection termination. Okay. So client terminates, it makes the request, server responds, okay. After some time, wait for a very small duration, server sends the finish message that disconnect, and the client says thank you, and it is acknowledged. So termination requires four-way communication. Okay, establishment requires three-way communication. All right, so this screen is needed for us, but in the meantime, I have got this one. created for just to demonstrate this TCP connection establishment termination. Quick one, maybe 2-3 time. Google Chrome, okay, right. So what happens, this one, I have configured this as the web server. I can show you. I have enabled the HTTP, which means the HTTP is enabled. And I also have made this as a DNS service. So the URL is example.com and the message is 192.168.1.1. Have I given the proper IP? 192.168.1.1. Yes, 192.168.1.1. This message, this client is 192.168.1.2. Okay. So now, in order to demonstrate, I have gone to simulation mode. We are only going to see TCP. Okay, don't worry about HTTP, DNS, and XOEZ. So I go to this mission and I open the browser and I give www.example.com. I give go button. Okay, I minimize this. It goes for DNS. We'll allow this DNS to get back, which is not needed for us. Now the TCP connection is getting ready. So this is the TCP because it's a HTTP transmission. You are requesting a web page. Okay, so you require HTTP. HTTP uses TCP in the transport layer. You know that. I open this TCP packet and look at the outbound PDU. Outbound PDU, let's concentrate on the transmission control protocol. In the TCP, you can see the second bit from the right hand side is 1, which means this is a SYN bit. Is it so? All right. So you have got FIN, then you got SYN. So SYN bit is 1, which is the connection request of TCP. Hope you could understand it now. Forget about all these old values. Let's look at only the last 6 digits, which will help us. And initially it says the window size is 65,535, which depends on the implementation, as I have said. So let's not worry about the checksum, source port, destination port. Anyway, destination port is 80. All right. So sequence number is 0. All right, that's okay. Now let's permit this to go. Now this packet is ready from the server to the client. Now inbound PDU, outbound PDU. There will be 2 tables on this. You have got inbound PDU. Inbound PDU is a connection request. It is a connection request. So what should be the outbound PDU? This should be 1. This should be 1. So if you look at the reverse, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1 should be the number. Let's wait the outbound PDU. Whether that happens. Yes. 0, 1, 0, 0, 1. Now you have got the acknowledgement and synchronization bit becomes 1. This is a second message from the TCP client. I'm sorry, from the TCP server, or in this case, server to the client. And you can see the acknowledgement number is 1, which means I have received the packet till sequence number 0. Send me the second packet. Okay. And source and destination ports are exchanged, which you are aware of. Okay, I will allow this to go. Now the HTTP packet is also ready, but you should have your TCP going, because your TCP is the third message. Okay, before the HTTP starts, this is the third message I open. It should have the inbound PDU. Inbound PDU should have only acknowledgement bit 1. So it should be 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. Okay, we'll verify. 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, which means it is not a synchronization message, it is a acknowledgement bit. And you also have got the acknowledgement number as 1, which means I have received till 0th packet, send me the first packet. Okay, 0 and 1 indicates only the number. Okay, not the number of packets, the ID of the packet. Okay, and it also says sequence number 1, which means this packet sequence number is 1. If you get a response for it, your acknowledgement number has to be 1+. Okay. All right. So this is what I wanted to communicate with you, how this TCP connection is established and how flow control is used. All right. So I'm done with my class today. I stop the presentation and I also stop the recording.